Hi, this is Lisa Kelly, Notre Dame author and class of 1993, and you are watching the Two Irish Brothers show. Cheers and go Irish!
What is up, guys? It is Irish Benjamin 57,
And I'm Indy Sean 45.
and together we are the Two Irish Brothers. Welcome in, everybody.
Yes, welcome. We are back with you guys for another episode. I know it's been a 2-week hiatus, but forgive us, things happen. It takes time to put together a show, and we want to do our very best for you guys. But listen, before we get into any of the topics that we have to discuss here in this episode, I want to give a special shout out to a good friend of Ben and I's. We actually interviewed her on this show a couple months ago. Her name's Lisa Kelly. She is an author and a Notre Dame graduate, and this is actually pretty cool. She just had an interview, or rather, she was being interviewed on Chris Zorich's Facebook page. You know, Chris Zorich, Notre Dame legend. They just did this episode last night. It was a live stream, and I was able to see all of it. Ben, I don't know did you see any of it?
I caught bits and pieces of it, but yeah, it looked like she had a phenomenal time, and she was kind of the interviewee as opposed to the interviewer. So I definitely outside of her comfort zone, I would assume. So we both of us kind of messaged her and told her, nothing to worry about, and good luck and all that. So yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah. I like I said, I was able to finish watching the whole thing, and it was just very well done. And Lisa, if you're watching, didn't I tell you that you had nothing to be nervous about? I was right, wasn't I? So yeah, we'll have the link to Chris Zorich's Facebook page to, I think he has a couple different ones, but I'll have the one posted where you guys can go see the show, or I'll just have a link to the show itself. But we just want to lend as much support as we can to Lisa, because she's become a good friend of ours, and just a very phenomenal woman. So again, Lisa and Mr. Zorich, if you happen to see this, you guys both did a great job. So anyway, with that said, Ben, we have a few topics to talk about. Now this first one, and I know that as soon as I mention anything, just anything in regards to this topic, a lot of the people watching, and maybe even you yourself, you're going to be like, Sean, will you please shut the hell up? We are sick of this. Well, I don't care, because what I've told you all before, when I have something that I feel is a good idea, I run with it, and I love to use my imagination. But anyway, the topic that I'm talking about here is the fact that the Camping World Bowl that Notre Dame just won this past season, or I'm sorry, the Camping World, here it comes, Pineapple Bowl. The Camping World Pineapple Bowl has now become the Cheez-It Bowl. So the Cheez-It Bowl has moved to the southeastern United States from Phoenix, Arizona, and Cheez-It will now be sponsoring this game. And I know we love to joke about this just because I've gone on about it so much, but in all seriousness, this just goes right in line to what I've been saying about this topic with all the minor bowl games, all the ones outside of the NY6 lineup. I said that Camping World was not going to sponsor this game forever, which I was right on. Cheez-It has stepped in and taken its place, which is just another reason why these bowl games need to have their own names, not just the sponsor. And people wonder why all these smaller bowl games get referred to as the toilet bowl. Well, I'm not saying that this is the sole reason why, but stuff like this, when the bowl game doesn't have its own name and it's just a sponsor, that's a reason why so many refer to it as the toilet bowl. I mean, what do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I do think that Cheez-It's a more well-known name than Camping World, so at least more people will be like, oh, it's Cheez-It Bowl, compared to the Camping World Bowl. But yes, I remember when, and both of us are old enough to remember this, and I would hope most of our viewership is old enough to remember this, but There were only a few bowl games when we were younger, and all of them were named a specific thing. Now, of course, they did have sponsors because somebody has to front the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things go in life. But yeah, so I mean, we had the rose and the orange and the peach and the Cotton Bowl,
The Holiday,
the Holiday Bowl. Yeah,
Fiesta,
so,
Gator, Sun, the Citrus Bowl, the Tangerine / Citrus Bowl. That was another one.
Right.
I think the Copper Bowl.
They all had their own names. And of course, like I said, sponsors changed, but they had their own name. So yeah, I think they need to do something like that. The unfortunate thing is nowadays there are so many bowl games that I think it's probably impossible because you just run out of things to name them. So I think that's part of the problem too. And of course, people will get offended and say, well, it gives littler teams a shot and it gives them an extra game and it gives, and I get that. So I'm not saying I want games to go away because it is awesome having games start, the 26th and go until, what is that, January 4th, I think is the final first round of the playoffs.
The bowl games.
Period.
The bowl games start earlier than that. They start in like mid-December.
Yeah, maybe. Something like that. Yeah, so that's a long period of time to have some extra football, other than professional football.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, people. Again, we were joking about it to start the discussion on this topic. I mean, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here because I brought this up like several times on this show alone, not to mention the couple times on my own channel. But I just think that it's important that, with the postseason, the teams that get to the postseason, I mean, like I've said before, the big stage is what every team shoots for. But unfortunately, only 12 can get there. 12 teams in total. The other 115 or whatever, give or take teams, the ones that make it to a postseason game, it should be treated with dignity and respect. I mean, because especially for the guys, the players on those teams that are on their way out. So I'm not saying that it should be treated like all these small bowl games. I'm not saying they should be treated like the greatest thing ever, but I don't see why there can't be just a little tradition, a little dignity and respect to go along with them. I mean, when it's just the sponsor's name, I mean, it's like, what are you playing for? Are you playing for the sponsor or are you playing for yourself? I mean,
right.
Treat it with some dignity and respect. Make that team proud to have that trophy in their trophy case. And, maybe get it to where the fans are like, okay, this is a small bowl game. It's not where we wanted to be, but you know what? It's still all right to be playing on the stage. It's not bad. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah, that's my thing, guys. And with this particular game, you have to unfortunately go to Wikipedia just to find out which game is which here. But I said this at another time too. This game, for 3 years, they brought back the Tangerine name for it, so it was known as the Tangerine Bowl. Now, myself, I still like the idea of calling it the Pineapple Bowl because of the history of pineapples in Florida, which I shared with you guys. But I don't care if you call it the Tangerine Bowl again. Just give the bowl game its own name. And for the record, I am not against the corporate sponsor being in the title. I mean, they should, they're the ones paying the teams.
Right, they deserve it.
Yeah, of course they should deserve to push their product. Absolutely. But keep it separate from the bowl game. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So, I actually made an updated poster for this. Maybe I'll post it later. I don't know. But it's now the Camping World Pineapple Bowl has now become the Cheez Pineapple Bowl from Orlando, Florida. And it's just too bad I couldn't do something to bring it up now and show you guys this custom poster I made. I thought it was pretty cool. Well, you know what? Give me a second here. I can go on my phone here and bring it up. I'll put it on my camera here as best as I can. Hopefully it shows up nice. And, well, we'll see what you guys think. Here we go. Hopefully it Oh.
Yeah, there you go. I can see it.
So what do you guys think? I know it's not the clearest picture, but yeah, I made that myself. It's not like I actually drew it or anything like that. I just cropped and pasted a bunch of stuff together. But doesn't that look more appealing than just the Cheez-It bowl? The cheese. We got the Cheez-It pineapple bowl, the palm trees, or I mean, honestly, Ben, what do you think? Don't you think that makes a world of difference?
Yeah, it looks nice and clean.
Yeah, and it has that traditional sound and that traditional feel to it. And that's why that I'm so hell-bent on this topic, is because I think stuff like that is important. Give the players and the coaches a respected stage to play on, even though it's not the major stage like the NY6. So that's all that I have to say on that topic. I know I beat a dead horse. This probably won't be the last time, but I think that stuff is very important. I take that stuff serious. It's important to me as a college football fan.
There you have it.
All right. So now, with that said, big news for Notre Dame. They just picked up another transfer out of the transfer portal. Running back from Stanford, Jordan Spieth. Is that how you say his name?
Spite.
Jordan Spieth. Spites. I'm not even getting his first name right. Trevor Spites. I am sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. You see, I have notes pulled up here. Sometimes I get it mixed up, so that's all on me. Trevor Spites, out of Stanford, transferred to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
So I know I feel so unprofessional right now. But we have fun on here. We don't take ourselves too serious. So, but anyway, I think this was definitely a big get for the Irish out of the transfer portal, because right now our running back core, I wouldn't say there's doubt. There's a lot of talent, but that depth never hurts. There's a lot of question marks coming into the season about who's going to be that emerging lead back.
Right. Yeah. No. It's a great pickup. We kind of mentioned this in our last video a little bit. We touched on this, but yeah, it's a good pickup. And I mentioned in the last video, and I didn't know this because I did some more research into this guy. He had the choice between Notre Dame and Rice were the two schools that he was looking at. So these are two schools in Notre Dame, Rice, that are very prestigious when it comes to academics. And he's coming from Stanford, which is another very, very amazing academic institution. So part of the rivalry between Notre Dame and Stanford is not just on the gridiron, but in the classroom. Both these schools boast how many players they graduate every year and how many academic All-Americans they have, not just All-Americans. So this kid that's coming in, to choose between Notre Dame and Rice says something about him. He values an education, and he's ready for the rigorous schedule that he will have when he comes to the University of Notre Dame. Because, like I said in the last video, anybody that goes to like Texas and Alabama and Ohio State, they could very well play for Notre Dame, yes. But could they go to school at Notre Dame? Because it takes a different kind of athlete academically to excel at Notre Dame. And if you go through all the stories that past alums, whether they're hockey, basketball, football, baseball, whoever, or just regular students, will say the hardest thing about Notre Dame is the academic portion. So this kid gets the grind. He's coming in and he is prepared for the grind. He is not one of these kids that we're getting straight out of high school that, yes, they've come from maybe a private school that is more rigorous. You don't just get a free pass when you're in a private school. But it's different when you come in as a person that has more maturity, and he can lead by example in this locker room for this core group of running backs, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very least, he provides that much needed depth that we do need to have, especially with the the departure of Tony Jones and a lot of guys that I mean, like, all the guys on this lineup right now, because right now we have 6 running backs, and just to break it all down, including Trevor Spites, there's Jameer Smith, Sebo Flemister, Kieran Williams, Jafar Armstrong, and incoming freshman Chris Tyree. So that's 6 running backs that we have on the depth chart right now. And this article that I was reading on 1 Foot Down, actually, which our friend Lisa Kelly does belong to and writes for, they mention here that it makes them wonder if there could be somebody transferring on the way out. That's going to transfer out from Notre Dame, because right now with the addition of Trevor, that makes us, I believe, 1 scholarship over where we need to be. So somebody's going to have to go.
Yeah. Unless, are they counting Dracovic for out?
I didn't mention that.
See, that would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not, clearly I'm not privy to that information, but I wonder if they're counting Dracovic as the transfer out, because then you would be even with scholarships. I don't know. And that's kind of what was going to lead it. We didn't get Shipley, and people were super bummed about not getting him. And said, well, what's going on with Notre Dame and all that. But the addition of Trevor, to me, I think is great because we lost out on the running back Shipley. And, people can be like, oh, well, Shipley was a 5-star and, but Shipley is unproven. Okay? It's the same with, like, the NFL when people get drafted. Okay, these guys have not played at this level yet. Okay? It's another level. There's a reason that everybody is there. And yes, I get that, and we mentioned this, 5-stars are like the most ready to play in the college level. But clearly, Trevor, coming out of Stanford, knows what's going on and has excelled at his position in that program, as a Division I program and a Division I program at a Power 5 school. So, I would take him over Shipley any day right now. Now, if Shipley goes to Clemson and rushes for, 2,000 yards after, Travis Etienne leaves, then sure, I would rather take Shipley, of course, duh. But at the moment, it's nice that we have a guy that is proven coming in as opposed to Shipley, who is unproven at the moment.
Yeah, and the thing is with Trevor Spites, and just for the record, you know why I was calling him Jordan? I was getting him mixed up with the golfer Jordan Spieth. So that's where the name mix up was coming from. I'm thinking Spieth instead of Spites, and so I say Jordan instead. I'm like, oh, so that's where it came from.
That's okay.
But anyway, with Trevor Spites, not Jordan Spieth, looking at his numbers from Stanford, they're not pretty numbers. I think he was just over 350 yards, and this is in his whole time at Stanford. 350 yards, I think only 1 touchdown. But the problem with that is he's been plagued with injuries.
Yes.
He's been very injury prone, which that doesn't really necessarily mean that we should be afraid of him not being able to contribute. Because he still has this year, and if he decides to stay, he is eligible for a 6th year.
Yep.
So, even though I think the running back core kind of took a step backwards last year from what it was in 2018, we can rebound here, and the same with Trevor Spites. He can come in and really get things going with his career again, and just who knows? He could absolutely just take off.
Right. Well, and to me, no offense to Stanford or anything, he's coming into a way better situation currently than what's at Stanford. I'm sorry. I mean, and that's just the absolute truth. And our line, in our passing game will open up the running game. I mean, so I think that'll help him a lot. And I think that there was a lot of pressure on the running game at Stanford. Because, I mean, if you look in the last, 10 years for Stanford running backs and stuff, you have Toby Gerhart, you have Christian McCaffrey. I mean, those two names alone, Gerhart went for a Heisman. McCaffrey's tearing it up in the NFL. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the running back position at Stanford currently. So, when you have a whole group of people that there's, ample pressure on not just the running back, but the quarterback and the wide receivers as well, I think it'll open it up a lot more for him. And you want to see him excel. I see people, and not just in our fan base, but in other fan bases, we get a guy that some people are very on the fence about, and then people are like, they almost want him to fail. And it's like, why do you want him to fail? Because if he fails, then the program looks bad. I mean, that to me, I've never understood. So, we'll see. Only time will tell. And like you said, hopefully he does take off.
I hope so. I really hope he does. I hope he can stay healthy and just really contribute to this team because, there's a lot of question marks with this running back core. But I don't say that in a way that, like, we're in trouble with the running game. But it's just, it wasn't as sharp as it was last season like it was the year before.
Well, what is our identity?
Exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned identity because I was going to ask you this question to go along with Trevor Spites, but like I said, of the remaining 5 backs that are looking to be on the roster, like I said, not including Trevor Spites, but we have Jafar Armstrong, Kieran Williams, Sebo Flemister, and Jameer Smith, and I'm not including Chris Tyree because obviously incoming freshman hasn't even had a single carry for us yet, but of the 4 running backs that we already have that have actually touched the ball, in your opinion, who could you see being our top 3?
Our top 3? I thought you were going to go number 1. Man.
Okay. Well, let's start with that. Who do you think our number 1 is of all these guys that we have? I
think Armstrong is the number 1.
We're unanimous on that.
That's what I think. Now, depending on what happens in camp, this will lead into our next topic, but depending on what happens, will really shape the top 3 backs. And like I said, the addition of Trevor, that brings another very mature person into that locker room and into that running back core. And everything revolves around who does what in camp. Because I've seen guys in the past have a phenomenal camp that you didn't think they were, and then I've seen guys that you thought they were going to have a great camp, and you thought that the coaching staff was going to be like, this is our guy, and then they're not. So, to me, looking at numbers and looking at raw talent and stuff, Armstrong's the number 1. But the other 2, I don't know. It's up for grabs, and that's what's going to make it interesting. And I don't want to take much away from the next topic, but, with the current state of things, it depends on who's been working and who hasn't been.
That's true. And also something I'd like to point out, too, is I haven't heard anything about, that they're going to redshirt Chris Tyree or anything like that. I'm pretty sure they're going to have him play. But that's another thing, too, is I would love for them to make sure that they get some reps for Chris Tyree. Because in my personal opinion, I think he's our future of the running game. As far as I'm concerned.
And you know what? I could see them making him redshirt because if you're that solid at the position with the addition of Trevor, I mean, it gives you a year to study the playbook and to get chemistry with the guys around you in practice. And I mean, let's be honest, we're going to be losing Ian Book after this season. So, if I'm correct, I do believe.
Yeah, this is his last year of eligibility.
So, you're going to have a new quarterback coming in. Now, hopefully, it's a guy that has the chemistry with these guys, but every guy's different. I mean, that's just how it is. So, it gives you a chance with Tyree to get used to everybody and to be stronger your upcoming season. And it keeps you healthy, too. I mean, I'm sorry, but it does. Football is a violent game. And, I mean, I've seen careers end on one play. So, I mean, to have him safe, quote unquote, on the bench is not a bad proposition.
Well, that's true too, and it'll be interesting to see which direction they go with that. Because the thing is, Chris Tyree, him being a 5-star running back, which there you go. People upset over Shipley not getting him. Well, we just got another one in Chris Tyree, so I don't know what they're so worried about. But anyway, I digress. If you're going to play him, all I'm saying is you need to get him some reps. Because you don't want to have him play a year and then just waste it with him just sitting on the bench and then he loses a year of eligibility.
Yeah.
So, with that said, you already mentioned this, Ben, but actually these next two topics kind of go hand in hand with one another. But the good news for all of us college football fans is this coming Monday, June 1st, I'm pretty sure it's all the colleges, right? Not just Notre Dame. But
that's what it sounds like.
The NCAA has ruled that all colleges, they can allow their players to return to campus for voluntary workouts, which is huge in my opinion because it tells us that, all right, despite the fact that we're going through a pandemic right now with COVID-19, it sucks for all of us right now because we're getting depraved of our sports. That tells me that they're shooting to have a season.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cool thing is, I know people got beef with him, and not everybody is as satisfied with him as maybe I am, but Swarbrick has really, really, really pushed to have a season. I mean, he has been on the front lines fighting for a season for college football. Now, whether that's good or bad is, above my pay grade, but I think that helps a lot, and it sounds like Brian Kelly is also very optimistic. So we got football at the moment until something disastrous happens.
Yeah,
that's a step in the right direction, and then that kind of leads, falling back to with Trevor. Now he can come in, and now he can get used to these guys because he goes to transfer, and now all of a sudden he's stuck in limbo because we have a pandemic and everything's shut down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him coming in on June 1st because Notre Dame's having their workouts. I can guarantee you that. So
yeah. And now he can get get to know his new teammates. Everybody can start to click and gel together, and that people have no idea. Well, of course we all do know, but given this situation that we're in right now, this is very crucial because for a while we were all thinking that nothing's going to happen. There's going to be nothing, no football, no practice, nothing, just shut down completely. But now that we know that the players are allowed to come back, big shift in momentum here and giving everybody a chance to to gel together, especially with all the incoming transfers. Not just Trevor, but Isaiah Pryor, the one receiver from who transferred in from Northwestern, that corner McLeod who transferred in from NC State. Guys that are new to the program, and not to mention the incoming freshmen.
Right. Yeah. No. It's exciting, and I don't want what I'm about to say to be taken the wrong way. But at the same time, I do mean this. I don't care what anybody else does. All I care about is what Notre Dame does. I know there's talk that, California could do this or New York could do that or whatever. I don't give a crap about what they're doing, okay? Yeah, a little bit of what California decides can impact Notre Dame a little bit, but whatever Notre Dame decides impacts us and the Notre Dame program as a whole. So bringing everything back is a step in the right direction for Notre Dame. And that gives us a Notre Dame football season. Whether we play just independent teams 10 times over in this upcoming season because of COVID-19, or we actually play all of our opponents, in California and at Lambeau Field and at, Notre Dame and South Bend, is whatever. So we'll see what happens. But I'm happy that we actually have NCAA approval because Brian Kelly kind of put a doomsday clock in a way.
Yes,
and,
he did.
I think it was 1 Foot Down that said that had that article. Brian Kelly with the doomsday clock. So I don't want to take it as my own, but yeah. So he kind of was like, if we're not at this point at this date, then I don't want my guys going. So we're at that date. We've gotten to the date before he wanted it to be a thing, so we're safe at the moment.
Yeah, because I mean, getting the proper cardio and the proper working out, getting in shape obviously doesn't take overnight. It takes quite a bit of time to become football ready.
Right.
But also something that I wanted to add to that. What was I going to say? I hate it when I lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, and when you mentioned the article from 1 Foot Down about the Kelly and the doomsday clock and all that. So far, what you said about Jack Swarbrick, yeah, you're right. He's been very optimistic about having a football season. He's actually even trying to come up with some ideas of what they could do. I mean, really, the only one who's kind of been a little iffy has been Father Jenkins, the president of the University of Notre Dame, because he's kind of gone back on his words a little bit. But I don't really pay too much attention to that. It's because it's been more of like whatever happens, happens. That's how I read from his talk. But also, yeah, if California and the Pac-12 in general, if they do what they've been talking about possibly just canceling football altogether, not just the Pac-12 but other conferences as well. But I know the big article that I talked about last episode was the one that they talked about possibly us playing Texas A&M in Hawaii. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, as much as I love having USC as a rival, and same with Stanford, like you said, Ben, if they cancel football, as far as I'm concerned, that's their problem. We'll find someone else to play us, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there that would love to play us.
Lots of suitors that would love to have us on the schedule.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see that happen. I want to see football in the Pac-12. But if it happens, it happens. And the thing with Father Jenkins, I think, is, it's not just a sports thing with him. He has a whole university to look after, and the academic side as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just sports related; it's academic. And it's not just the students either. I mean, you got faculty and support staff as well to worry about. And I mean, everything is all up in the air. Nobody really has an answer to all of these problems at the moment, whether it be politicians or doctors or diseaseologists or however you pronounce that. So, I mean, nobody really knows. Everything's very up in the air. So I get Father Jenkins, being leery and kind of being nervous and all that. I get that, because at the end of the day, you want to do what's right for everybody and not just like 1%. Because I'm sorry, sports is a very, very small facet when it comes to actual, learning and academics at a college. I get that. So yeah, we'll see. And Brian Kelly got his wish.
Yeah.
So now it's on. And now we have a season. And now it's time to prep and go for our 12th national title.
And that actually is a good transferring spot right into our next topic. And this has been a big, big topic of discussion. Nothing really new that we can really add here. But the various talks of what they're going to do with fans inside the stadiums. Not just Notre Dame, but all across the NCAA. Are there going to be no fans? Are they going to find a way to have it at full capacity? Now, I think it was Jack Swarbrick, not Father Jenkins, who said this in a recent article. But he doesn't feel that there's any way that they could have a full capacity stadium for this season. And some of the numbers being thrown out there, because if they're going to try to do like social distancing inside the stadium and kind of have the fans spread out, I think he said they were looking at 30% capacity.
Yeah.
So, So I mean, it would definitely be different. I mean, I would love to see a full stadium. I mean, who wouldn't? But at the same time, if it means keeping the fans safe and keeping the players safe, of course I understand that. I mean, a game is not, as much as we love the game of football, and a lot of us are very passionate about it. You guys know I am. Ben, I know you are. But when it's all said and done, a game is not worth risking people's lives over.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. So it's kind of like what I said. Um, it's one of those things where you're trying to make a decision for the benefit of all and not just one facet of society or people in this case. So yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's stadium, if you want to go numbers wise, holds roughly 89,000 people. If we go by what Swarbrick is saying, that would only allow you to have 29,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
So numbers wise, and my math's probably a little bit off because I'm not the greatest at math, but that kind of just gives you a little bit of an idea of what they're proposing. This is going to be one of those things where it's going to vary from state to state because, around us, where Sean and I are filming from, states around us have opened up. Our state just opened up today. So, what is going to happen when you go, instead of being in Indiana, because Indiana has opened up and been opened up for about a week now, what's going to happen when you go and play a California team? If you play a California team. What's going to happen when you go and play a New York team? Now, I'm not saying we are playing a New York team on the schedule this year, but what happens if? So, yeah, Indiana may be super lax on everything and say, yeah, if you want to have 89,000 people in the stands, go for it, But then a place like New York could say, no way, man. You don't have any stands in the fans in the stands, sorry.
We knew what you meant.
And all that. So it'll be very interesting. And I mean, when you have, I think it's 131 teams in Division One, that's a lot of different decisions being made. So, I mean, that's 131 different athletic directors making decisions on their programs.
And that's what I think they really need to do is they really need to all the athletic directors, hell, even all the governors, I guess, if you want to go that far, they've got to get together and they've got to work out some kind of plan that everybody can agree on for every state. Yeah. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. But I can tell you this much. My personal opinion, as far as Notre Dame goes, I can't speak for any other team right now, but as far as Notre Dame goes, I think, of course, I do think there's going to be a season, but in my personal opinion, I think it is going to be a limited number of fans in the stadiums or in the stadium. I think they're not going to have no fans, but I think it's going to be around what you said, probably 30, maybe 35,000. That's my projection.
Yeah. Look, I don't see the governors getting together. I really don't. Unfortunately, due to the very, very unfortunate circumstances that have happened in the last couple of days, the governors have way bigger things to worry about right now than college football.
Yeah.
And I will leave that topic at that.
Right.
But, with all the alums and all, like, the season ticket holders and stuff, I just don't see a way where you don't have fans in the stands. Where, I mean, you have some way. And Swarbrick, back to him, because, he's our athletic director, he kind of put, like, a level of importance, if you will, on, like, these are the people that should be in the stands. These are the people, and his number one important thing was, he said, the students should be in the stand. So there's that. And then he said alums, and then after the alums, it was season ticket holders, and then after season ticket holders, it was the common man, which would be me and Sean. So the numbers start going down as you go down that list. I mean, if they're only going to let, let's say, 30,000 in the stands, you let 1,000 students in, you're down to 29,000, which you're not only going to let 1,000 students in, it'll probably be as many students as they want, so then that pushes the number down to whatever, So for us common folk,
could get pretty tough to get up to games this year.
Yeah.
Unless they do some kind of lottery or something like that. But even still, that's a lottery's a lottery. I mean, that doesn't sound good to say, let alone try with.
I don't like the lottery systems in sports at all, but
no.
Yeah, So, and rightfully so. I mean, if you are a student at Notre Dame, yes, I think yes. You're paying your dues, whether you're on a scholarship or not. To that university. You're there for a reason. It's a very special time. I mean, we had Lisa on here. She talked about her time at Notre Dame. It's magical. It really is, So a virus, if you're allowed to be there, should not slow you down, and you should get first dibs on the seats. And I agree with that completely, because the students are what makes the university special, and the students create the alumni, and the alumni create the program because of all the money they pump into it. So I get it. But
well, and also something I want to add to this, with season ticket holders, and I have to say this just because it's on the top of my mind, because I saw an article about this today, and actually a lot of people agreed with me, but for a lot of the season ticket holders, I say to hell with them, because they're the same ones who sold their tickets to Nebraska in 2000, Georgia 2017, so it makes me wonder, what happens when let's just say that COVID didn't happen. Hypothetically here. Let's say COVID didn't happen. What could possibly happen when Clemson comes to town this upcoming season? Is that stadium going to be majority orange because these bastards who really don't give a damn are just going to sell their ticket to make a quick buck?
Yep.
So,
I agree. I totally agree.
So
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a jerk here and badmouth our fan base, but I just saw that article today on Facebook, and I think about that. It just boils my blood, man. So.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing that, like you said, that you're going to sell your tickets. Because, I mean, if you look at places around the college football world, and when I mean places, I mean like the Blue Bloods. You look at the Blue Bloods, and when I say some of these, I'm not saying like they're super relevant right now, but they are like royalty. You look at like Nebraska, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ohio State, Southern Cal, Michigan. When you see a home game, what is the vast majority of color in their stadium? Theirs. Their color. You don't see when South Carolina or Clemson is playing Alabama, you don't see a bunch of white and orange in the stadium. You see red. You see crimson. Okay? So, like you said, and this is making my blood boil just thinking about it, you're going to sell your tickets and then create the non-hostile environment that you could have had. Because I'm sorry, and I saw this when I was at actually Home Depot. This guy was an LSU fan, and on his shirt it said Death Valley, where dreams come to die. And it's like, it's right. You go in there as the opposing team knowing that you are up against a daunting task, not only with the football team you're facing, but the fans, the 12th man, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yes, and I think maybe that's Swarbrick's way of kind of slapping Notre Dame fans in the face and saying, wake up, don't sell your tickets. Because the season ticket holders didn't help themselves any when in the program when you sold them all to Georgia.
Yeah, and the thing is, this wasn't really something I had planned to talk about, but just I had to mention it. I just felt the need to, because, you look at all these schools, like you said, like down south, or even in Nebraska, where any place where football is huge. I mean, It says a lot when. Now maybe in those areas, especially the South, maybe they go a little overboard with their football and take it a little too serious. But you know what? They at least care. Never would they ever ever allow that to happen and let their stadium get taken over by the opposing team's fans. I mean, and this again, like the whole bowl game thing, talking about the names. I probably am still kicking a dead horse here, but this is one that I will say without any problem whatsoever. I will talk about this over and over because our fan base, the fact that they would ever allow that to happen in 2000 and 2017, two of the biggest games we've ever had, and you just screw over your team because you want to make a quick buck. And I've had people tell me, oh, well, Sean, well, maybe they have a bill they need to pay or they need to buy groceries. Bullshit. Bullshit. If you had a ticket to a big game like that, you're not struggling financially. So don't give me that bullshit that you need to pay a bill or buy groceries.
Right.
But the fact that that's the thing that I think is a problem with why that happens is even though in the South they might take their football a little too seriously, they at least care. And it seems like in our fan base, I mean, we have a lot of fans that care. Don't get me wrong, but we are lacking that diehard mentality.
The loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty, the diehard mentality. And I've had some people tell me that, oh, it's the administration's fault. It's their fault because they set of how they set standards. I'm like, is it the administration that's making you sell your ticket? No. Is it Brian Kelly that's making you sell your ticket? No. You're selling your ticket because you're a greedy bastard who wants to make a buck. That's all there is to it. And I heard on and I'm not bad mouthing him or anything, but what's his name? John from the other Always Irish. The Always Irish show on YouTube. I think his name's John. He said to me one time that he thinks it was because with Nebraska in 2000 and Georgia in 2017, both those seasons, we were coming off a losing season the year before. Because 99 was, Nebraska in 2000. 99 was a losing season. 2016, losing season. Only a 4-win season. Which I get it, it's bad. And his theory is that the fans are trying to say, prove something to us. Show us why we should come back. And I'm just like, he has a point.
To a point, though.
Yes, to a point, exactly. But the fact is, if you are a diehard fan and you love your team, you go and support them. Now, and what pisses me off even more is the ones who sell their tickets or who sold their tickets to those big games. They're the same ones that go and bitch and complain relentlessly when the team doesn't do well.
Oh yeah. And
well, go to the game, you dickheads.
If you want to sell your ticket, sell them to a Notre Dame fan.
At the very
I would love to get my hands on tickets to a Georgia game. Versus Notre Dame or Texas or whoever big, that you don't normally get to see because Georgia was that in 2017 was a big thing. We had not played Georgia since Herschel Walker played for Georgia at that point in time. That's crazy, so you don't get to see that every day. So, yeah, sell them to people in your area. Don't sell them to the enemy, quote unquote, and that's my issue. I get that things come up. I get that, oh shit, it's wedding or, I get all that. I get that. But if you're going to sell them to the right person. Don't sell them to, somebody that either A, doesn't give a shit or B, is a rival fan. Don't do that. Don't do that. So anyway.
But no, it's funny. Everybody was so embarrassed when Brian Kelly had his purple face moment against South Florida back in 2011, but they're not embarrassed by the fact that, oh, we have a bunch of sellouts who let our stadium get taken over in 2 big games. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace, and I will not stop saying that.
No. But yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Move right down the long line of list of things we got.
I just created another topic for us that we didn't plan on, because we did not plan on that last 10, 15 minutes.
That's okay. So with the whole scheduling thing and with the whole ticket thing and all this, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin may not happen in Lambeau. There is a report that is saying that the game could be moved to South Bend. Now, Sean and I tend to be on the same page with many things when it comes to Notre Dame football. And this is another one that both of us are on the same page with. I am very happy that it's not happening at Lambeau. And I know people are going to be like, but it's Lambeau Field. It's historic. It's, the frozen tundra and all that. But it's pretty cool that it's actually going to happen for a home field advantage.
Yeah. And just to clear this up, this has not officially been announced yet. It's not set in stone.
It's thrown around.
Yes. Well, I mean, usually when people are talking, there's
some validity.
There's some validity to it, and I could easily see that happening. Just like I could easily see the game in Ireland being changed.
Over here.
Yeah, over here. But sticking with this though, myself personally, I am fine with them moving it out of Lambeau Field and of Soldier Field in next year in 2021 as well. Because was I happy that this series was announced? Of course.
Yeah.
But I was not thrilled that they were playing it at Lambeau and Soldier.
No.
And don't get me wrong, I think it's awesome that they want to have these kids play in NFL stadiums because let's face it, some of them may never see an NFL stadium. That's just a fact. But when you have a big series like this, I think it needs to be played on the team's fields, in their own stadiums, at South Bend, at Notre Dame Stadium, and up at Camp Randall in Madison. And let me tell you something. This is one of the main reasons why. I actually did a video on this documenting my experience. I have been to a game at Wisconsin, up at Camp Randall, and I had a good time up there. I think it was, what year was it? I want to say maybe 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. It was the year when it was against Indiana, and they beat them like 56-3, so it wasn't much of a game. But Camp Randall, that was a fun stadium to experience. I had a great time up there, and I would love to see the Irish travel up there. I would make the trip for that in a heartbeat up to Madison.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, to me, it keeps the tradition. You can do so much more with your stadium. Like when the way like Wisconsin comes out of their tunnel and the jump around,
yes.
And all that. That makes college football very, 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 very special. And the other thing that I say, and people are like, most big-name college football teams have bigger stadiums than NFL teams. I'm sorry. It's a fact. I mean, the Big House holds, 105,000?
Yeah.
Penn State at Beaver Stadium holds 110,000 people. Okay, no NFL stadium's that size. I'm sorry. Now, size, yes. Seating capacity, no. So that's another thing that I bring up and I think makes college football so special. Because you go and play at Alabama, you go and play at, Nebraska or in Death Valley. Those places are loud, they're intimidating. The crowd's into it, the tradition's there. You just get goosebumps, with that. And you don't get the same goosebumps when you're playing in an NFL stadium. I'm sorry, So
the thing is, and this is a long story, and I'll keep it short, but I said this in another episode when I told the story about my dad and my brothers when they were in Notre Dame Stadium for the game against Boston College in '92, where they filmed the scenes from the movie Rudy. They go see the Indianapolis Colts the next day, and the vibe was so different. The best way that my older brother described it was like a more corporate feel than it was a fun environment. And he said they actually left at halftime.
Yeah.
They weren't having a good time. So and I've been to a couple Bears games, and it's fun, yes, but you can tell that there's a difference.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, the only one that I've ever been to that felt the same in a professional stadium is when I went and watched my cousin play in the Orange Bowl when it was Kansas versus Virginia Tech. That was nuts. But that's two college teams, playing in kind of a college stadium because in Miami, the two Miami teams, the Dolphins and the Hurricanes, share a stadium, so that's different. But yeah, so I agree with the whole vibe, and like I said, the traditions and stuff are just second to none. I'm sorry, when it comes to college versus pro.
Well, and I will say this, so this has nothing to do with the football aspect of things, but the time that I went up to Camp Randall to see the Badgers play against the Hoosiers, one of the buildings right across the street from the stadium, I don't know if it was a frat party going on or what, but they had, no joke, a 3-story beer bong. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
I know this probably happens at every college across the country, but still, though, when you actually see it for yourself firsthand, you're like, that's pretty damn impressive. And Wisconsin, they do have a lot of engineering graduates. Yeah. So why should I be surprised? Why should I be surprised to see a beer bong that's 3 stories tall? I mean, that was awesome. But yeah, I mean, when it's all said and done, a game like this, a 2-game series like this, you play it in the team stadiums. And plus, with the ties that Notre Dame has with Wisconsin, which there are a couple of significant ones, there's even more reason to have it. And those ties are this: Barry Alvarez, who I think he is their athletic director now, isn't he? I know he was their head coach.
I don't know. Look, I don't know.
Well, regardless, whether he's still the athletic director or not, he was Notre Dame's defensive coordinator on that '88 national championship team.
Yes.
Also, Harry Stuhldreher, one of the famed Four Horsemen, he was the head coach at Wisconsin for a little while.
Yep.
So those are 2 very big significant ties between these 2 universities. So, but yeah, so that covers that, and with that, I don't have any more topics to cover for this episode.
No, I'm all out. Plumb out.
Yep, same here. But this was actually a pretty good discussion, and I hope all of you watching, I hope you've made it this far, and I hope you enjoyed it, especially me getting, when my blood boils about, our fans, and I hope you didn't just turn off this video. That's the thing. I hope people didn't turn off this video after like the first 6-7 minutes of me talking about bowls and pineapples again.
No, and if you followed either one of our channels, there have been angry moments, not between the two of us, but angry moments on our channels when we get mad about stuff when it comes to Notre Dame and stuff outside of Notre Dame's realm. So,
well, I'll say this.
It's a shocker to you when we get mad.
I'll say this. Speaking of anger, and I'm being dead serious here. If there's anybody who catches that part of this episode where I'm going off on our fans, all I can say is this: prove me wrong. Then, prove me wrong. Go into the stadium, right. Support the team, and again, don't the people who do sell their tickets. If you're gonna do that, fine, but I can't stop them. But don't bitch if the team doesn't if they start performing poorly. Don't bitch if you're not going to go support them.
Right.
So.
Very true.
So yeah, guys. Again, we're still, just to give everybody an update, we're still working on the guests that we're looking to have on our show. I know I like to keep things as a surprise, but I've been in contact with Anthony Denman, who was a former Notre Dame linebacker from like the late '90s. I've talked to Joey Getherall, and Ben and I have also both been in touch with Chris Zorich, and if these interviews happen, holy crap! So
yeah.
and if any of you guys are watching, hey, we would love to have you on.
Yeah, we were in huge talks with Joey, and unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances and some very tragic events, like I said earlier in the video, I think Joey's workload just got a lot heavier with what he does for a living. But yeah, he was excited to want to be on the show, and we're trying to work out stuff with him and a couple of the other guys. They all got lives outside of the football world and stuff, so it's understandable. And the other thing too is, of course, COVID's going on, so you know it's a very trying time for all of us. And we are working extremely, extremely hard to get them on. Lisa Kelly was not the only famous Notre Dame personality that we will have on the show. I can guarantee you that. But you just got to be patient. You know, we're trying to be as patient as we can because, like I said, things are just so crazy right now with everything. And that kind of leads me into my final thought. Please, 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 please stay safe, everybody. Yeah. You know, both of us, you know, kind of live away from most stuff, which is pretty good, but not everybody does. I have a couple friends that are in big cities at the moment. They live, you know, in the heart of it. So, unfortunately, some bad stuff's happening right now, and, you know, just stay safe. Please stay safe. Make smart decisions. Don't make a decision that you're going to regret later on because, you know, you can really screw yourself up for life. That's all I got to say. So
absolutely, I second that. Just everybody stay safe, and you know we'll keep the shows coming when news happens. When we get in, like I said, when we get in contact with the you know the guests that we were planning to have on, which I know I wanted to leave that as a surprise, but you know you can only draw stuff out for so long, so you might as well just tell everybody what your plans were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, on that note, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And we say to all of you, God bless, go Irish, and most importantly, stay safe, everyone.